I think somebody wants to go for a walk. That's what I'm thinking. Do you want to get a drink first? I thought so. So it's 8:15 in the morning on the 18th of December. We're going for our morning walk as soon as Dottie gets her fill of water there. You ready? You ready? Go on. Well, let's go. Come on. Well, another beautiful day in Quartzsite. A couple of the things that are on my mind this morning. I was thinking about the question, so what's different this year in Quartzsite? Well, that's a hard question for me to objectively answer because I'm in an RV park for the first time in 4 years. So things are very different for me just because of the decision that I made to be in an RV park this year. So I probably need to stick to things that are independent of whether you're staying boondocking out in the desert or in town. One of the things that I found interesting and that I did a little poking into from a research standpoint was I've been down to Mexico twice because I have a lot of dental work that needs done. So I've had 2 sessions down there. I'm about to go again this Monday for a third. And I noticed a couple of significant things there. One is I've been going to the same dentist down there, well-established dentist, this is my 4th year going there. And every other time when I've gone, there have been other patients there coming and going. But I've gone twice now. And no other patients. Well, that's not true. The second time there was another patient, but it's someone I brought with me, so that doesn't really count. And I kept hearing down there that business down in New Mexico, or not New Mexico, Mexico's really down. And I can't verify any of these numbers, but I'm hearing 30, 40% down. That's a lot. But my micro experience with my dentist bears that out. And I have a couple of other micro experiences. Generally, Mondays have been pretty busy days down there in Algodones in Mexico. And traditionally, when it's time to go home, you go to the exit, the entry back into the United States, and there's always a line. And I estimated in years past when people ask me, somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes is the average. I've had one really long one that was probably over an hour, but about 40 minutes. And your head gets adjusted to that expectation and end up being okay with it. Well, the first Monday, I go to leave around noon or 1 o'clock, which is generally a pretty busy time. And I only see about a dozen people in line on the sidewalk. Now, there's another line inside once you go through a door from the sidewalk, and that was a full line. But it only took 15 minutes. I said, wow, this is an outlier. This is an oddball situation. But then last Monday, same time, noon, I walk up. There's nobody in line. There's no line on the sidewalk. And I walk in the door, and there's maybe a dozen people in the internal line. So I decided, well, I'm going to time this. So I set my timer when I got in the back of the line, and I hit the timer off once I cleared customs and was walking back to the parking lot to get my car. It was 4 minutes and 30 seconds, which is, I was stunned. This is mid-December. I was mentioning all this to my friend Jim Bertrand, who is a Canadian, a good friend of mine here. And he's married to a US citizen, and so he spends time in Canada and time here. He's here now. And he said, I tell you, Rob, it's because the Canadians aren't coming this year. It's way down. And there's usually a very large population, not only here, but in Yuma, of Canadians that come down for the winter, and it's just not materializing. Well, I went and did as much research as I could, and I found a fairly reputable source, a nonprofit that deals with Canadian visitation to the United States, and their statistic is a 21% reduction in border crossings from Canada into the US. I think that's a pretty significant number. And that's all I have on facts and figures for Canada. It's hard to get information, but it seems plausible. On the other hand, I drive through La Posa South, where I've been staying the past 3 years, and it seems busier to me there. Seems like there are more campers. And in town, the feel is pretty much the same. Well, you know, here's the thing. It's hard to tell. So do I remember, today's what I say, the 17th, 18th of December? Do I have specific memory of what town looked like on the 18th of December last year and the year before? And the answer is, of course I don't. I have no idea. So you kind of get a feel for it. And it seems about the same to me. Now, what I could do is start people in business asking, are their numbers up or down? Is it busier or less busy? And those local business people, believe me, they have their finger on that pulse. That's their livelihood. So I'll start asking that question. And I'm trying to think, is anything else feel different, independent of my decision this year to stay in an RV park? And I'd say I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it brings to mind the question, so that being the case, what differences do you note based on your decision to stay in town in an RV park? And I'd say it's a very different experience. It used to be in my camp in La Posa South, I decided, well, I need to go into town. So Dottie and I would get in the truck, and it would take, I don't know, 10 minutes to get into town. I guess when I think about it, it seems a lot longer than that, but it's once you get on the pavement on 95, you're going 55 most of the way, and it's only 3 or 4 miles. So 10 minutes is fair. And then 10 minutes back. Versus here, if I get in my truck and I go to the grocery store, we're talking maybe 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. Does it seem like that's a big deal? Well, it kind of is. If in La Posa South, if I go into town and I come back and I forgot something, I'm not going to turn around and go back. I'm gonna find a way to wait until my next trip into town. But here, I wouldn't bat an eyelash. And I might go into town a couple of times in a day, maybe 3 times. And also, if I want to, I can walk into town, and better yet, I can take my e-bike into town. I have all sorts of options. Good example is the Christmas parade they have every year. I'd never been to it before this year. I kept hearing it's a pretty spectacular thing and it's worth going. But that's a major, to me, it was always a major production. To leave and come back to my campsite in La Posa South in the dark, it's not easy. I can do it, but it's a little stressful. Stressful enough so I never really considered coming into town for that. Well, I did drive to it, and I didn't need to because it was maybe less than a half a mile walk, should I do, but it was at night, and we drove. And it was delightful to be able to participate in that for the first time. And I was doing it because of my proximity to town is kind of changing what I do and where I go. Not having to think about water. That's a big deal. I was going to say electricity too, but I'm not using the park's electricity. I'm using my solar. So the big benefit is water and sewer. In boondocking, I had to conserve the water that I used. And what do you use water for? Well, the main thing is flushing the toilet. All right, I had to cut that out. I got a phone call in the middle of that. And as a result, I have no idea what I was saying before I know I was on the topic of how things are different. Oh, water. Certainly, here's a tip for you if you want to boondock. It's a temptation in the RV to use less water in the toilet. Don't do that. That's not good. You need to have a good amount of water when you flush for the obvious thing, right? If you don't, you're gonna have clogging problems in your black tank, and you do not want that. Dottie just put on the brakes here and needs to sniff something. When I first got my RV, the first piece of advice from an experienced person was from an RV dealership. She said, when you flush, when you hit the pedal to flush, count to 10. That's how much water you need to put in there. So I've always gone by that for years, and I've never had a clogging problem. But like, you know, when you have, I think my fresh water tank, I think, is 32 gallons. And so the temptation is to maybe don't use as much, but I would still use plenty in the toilet. Washing dishes, things like that. I don't drink the water, about bottled water, but bathing, occasionally I would bathe in the shower when I'm boondocking. But here in Quartzsite, I'm going to town for $11 at Main Street Laundry. I can have a nice hot shower. So I would do that. But being in the RV park, I don't have to worry about either one of those things. I've got free flowing water and sewer. It's every 2 weeks about when I was boondocking, I would have to empty my black tank. Now when you have an RV and you're parked, there are a couple of options. One is that you hook up your RV, pack everything. Well, you can leave stuff on your camp, but pack everything up that can, jumble around while you're moving inside, and pull your RV to the dump station, dump it, maybe go to the water station and fill it with water. Well, that's a giant pain in the neck. I never did it. So how did I get fresh water, and how did I dump my black and gray tank? Well, the water was easy. I had a 6-gallon water jug that every time I'd go into town, I would fill that and dump it into my freshwater tank. And so what did I do to get rid of my black water and my gray water if I wasn't moving my rig? Well, I had a 36-gallon tote that's made for that. And I would put that in the bed of my pickup truck. I had a macerator pump attached to the my out pipe that normally would connect to if you had a suitor connection, would connect to that. And then there's a garden hose that I designate from that to the back of the trunk. So I would pump that waste into that tank in the back of my pickup truck, and then drive that pickup truck to the dump station and dump it. And that was about once every 2 weeks, approximately, I'd have to do that. And I got the routine down, so I could probably get that done in less than a half an hour, including, waiting for the pump to pump the stuff up there, and then waiting in a little bit of a line. Half hour, 45 minutes every couple of weeks. Wasn't a task that I looked forward to, and neither was, when I get home and I'm tired and I got a 50-pound water container that I have to lift out of the back of my truck and then heave up to pour into my tank. That wasn't all that pleasant. They're, what we used to call high-class problems, though. If those two things are my biggest problems, then I don't have a lot of problems, right? But being free of those two things feels pretty darn good. So let's see, what else? The socialization, the only thing that's different about it is I do have a couple of friends that are going to be here through the end of December that I already know them and from years past, but everybody else is new to me. But I've met a lot of people and I've had a lot of very nice time spent with new people that that live in the RV, that are staying in the RV park here, and that's been pretty nice. So far, the socialization is a little different. When I'm camping with a group of people, specific group of people out in the Posa South, pretty much at least once a day, either for coffee in the morning or for the sunset, I would be sitting out with a bunch of friends once a day. And I can't say that that's occurring, at least not yet, here in the RV park. That may change, and if it does, I'll let you know. So I do miss that part. I'm trying to think of questions that I've gotten recently on videos that I've done. And I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. You know, people, they keep asking, what is the dental work that you're having done and how much does it cost? And I thought I really went into detail on that more than one video, but I'll do it again now. I'm doing this from memory. 2 implants, 3 crowns, 1 extraction, 3 cavities, and $3,800 is the cost. And it's gonna be done over 3 visits. I've already had the first one where I was fitted for the first crown. Monday I go back, they put the crown in, and then the specialist comes in to do the work, the first stage work for the implants. Now, the final stage, it needs a month of healing time, so they said it's fine they'll give me sort of temporary. After a couple weeks, I come back and they put in something temporary, and I won't come back until next year, and then we'll finish the implant stuff. So basically, I have 3 more visits, and I'm done with that. But the research I did tells me that if I got that work done, even with really good dental insurance, we're certainly talking, you know, anywhere between, you know, $8,000 and $15,000, even with good insurance. So I know there are people out there that have maybe had similar work done, maybe for less, and you can certainly talk about that. And if you have, great for you. This is kind of the best I can do. Now, one thing, you know, I've been buying my glasses down there, but since I've been doing that, I have discovered that if you have a valid prescription, there are lots of online places in the US where you can order glasses, and the prices are very competitive with Mexico. And does it work? Ask me in a couple days, because I ordered 2 pairs of glasses online. About $400 for 2 pair with all the bells and whistles that they had available. And they'll be delivered, I'll probably get them at the latest on Monday. And I will let you know how those do. You might wonder, so why, Rob, do you need so many pairs of glasses? Well, I'm not much of a fashion guy. Notice I wear just solid t-shirts most of the time, and mostly black. I have a couple of navy blue one and kind of a light blue one, but mostly black t-shirts, Levi's. But my fashion statements are, I guess my trademark these days is suspenders and glasses that match the suspenders. So I'm expanding that to include a match for this shipment of glasses. Will be matching glasses for my yellow suspenders and my white suspenders. Kind of a little bit more bold than usual. And I'm sure there'll be people that will love that, people that will not like it and say nasty things on the internet, but I'm prepared for that. And the majority of the people aren't going to care one way or the other. The other difference I'm noticing more and more is even though there's probably, a per square foot concentration of people camping is certainly greater here than just about anywhere in the desert that you camp. Even if you camp in one of the big camps, it is so far much quieter day and night. It's very quiet here. All right, Dottie, let's go. Go on. That's a big plus. Quiet's nice. Although, ambient noises and music in the distance, when I sleep, those things really don't bother me. I have a fan on for some white noise. In a pinch, I might put in earplugs, but I haven't done that in a really long time. I'm just not very sensitive to it. And I know other people are more sensitive. And there are probably RV parks that are noisy, but this one isn't. I can guarantee you that. I'm sure this place will be packed to the gills. No open sites during the month of January, and it might be busier. We'll see, and I'll let you know if it's any noisier. I suspect it won't be all that significant. But we have completed our walk, and I'll take you with me on more of these. Hopefully I'll have more interesting things to talk about than today. Go on, inside. Go on inside. Go inside. Go on. Go on, Dottie. Go inside. She really hesitates because what she really wants. Oh, we got to put more water in there, huh? Are you almost out of water? Yeah, okay, I'll get your water. She likes to be outside, but it's still a little chilly. We'll go outside very soon, Dottie, I promise, okay? But you need water, and I got it. That unending water, not a problem. Right, Dottie? And where's George, by the way? Oh. I have to take this off to show you George. There's George. And it's funny, I put that bed back there for George recently, and he's ignored it right until just now. It's the first time I've seen him in it. And I thought that, all right, here's like days worth of water, Dottie. All right. So we can see on our monitor how the solar's doing. At what time did I say it was? 8:46. We got 250 watts coming in. We're at 67%. and all things being equal, we'll be above 90 for the day. And still, I have not had to use, since I upgraded the system. When I say I mean since Denny upgraded my system. I have not had to turn on the park, watch out, Dottie, the park electricity. So, how much could I potentially save in electricity? Well, I'm going to turn this around so you can see me for at least the last part of this. So from what people are telling me around here, and about $70, $60 to $70, that I won't be paying if this is successful. That's over 3 months. It's $60. It's $180. But gotta be accurate here. I think I'm spending, because the refrigerator I can turn on to 120 volts, but it draws like 500 watts. It's wildly inefficient. So I'm using propane. So I use propane for the water heater, and that's not much because I just turn on the water heater when I'm gonna take a shower and turn it off right after. The forced air heat is propane, and because I have the refrigerator turned to propane to save on the, because this time of year, the solar system won't keep up with that almost constant draw of 500 watts. So I have calculated, based on my usage so far, that the extra propane is going to cost me an additional $30 a month. So my $60 savings is halved by the additional propane. So it's really, if I save $100 in electricity for the whole time here, the 3 months, that's probably going to be pretty accurate. And does that pay for what I put in? Heck no. But when I go home to Artesia, I'll be saving a like amount there. And certainly I'll be glad I have it, because last year in Eagle Nest, I had the option. I had metered electric that I could use occasionally, and I don't think I will have that this year. So I'm going to be totally reliant on the solar system. But it's summer, and I think there's going to be plenty. I'm looking at a couple of things. One is replacing that refrigerator with a residential style 120 volt, which would be hopefully much more efficient, or a residential style DC powered refrigerator, or there's a conversion kit that you can use for this to replace this one that is 120 volt or DC, depending on the conversion kit. So I've got a lot of research to do, and I'd like to have some resolution of that before I go to Eagle Nest this summer. So I'll probably get serious about that in the spring when I'm back in Artesia. So I'm going to look at my options there and see what to do. Now, I might do nothing, because during the summer, I'm going to have more solar power than I can probably deal with. It's going to be a lot. I'm going to get a lot more solar because of the position the sun changes. The days are longer and the sun is way more overhead. So that's a huge difference in solar production. So we'll see, and hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.